Today we are gonna talk about lesson number 2, which is talking about respiratory system. What is the respiratory system? Any system in our body consists of group of organs. So respiratory system consists of group of organs. Respiratory system help us to breathe. So the function or the importance of respiratory system in our body, that the respiratory system helps us to breathe. Now let's talk about the organs of respiratory system. The first organ of respiratory system is called nose. So the organs of respiratory system are nose, pharynx, trachea, two lungs, diaphragm. Again, the organs of respiratory system are nose, pharynx, trachea, two lungs, diaphragm. Repeat with me. Nose, pharynx, trachea, two lungs, diaphragm. Nose, pharynx, trachea, two lungs, diaphragm. So all of them are the organs of respiratory system which help us to breathe. The function or the importance of the respiratory system in our body is inhaling oxygen and exhaling carbon dioxide. Inhaling means taking the oxygen from the air, and the oxygen is a gas which is found in the air. So the respiratory system helps us to take or inhaling oxygen from the air, and exhaling, which means get rid of carbon dioxide out of our body. So the function, which means the importance of the respiratory system in our body, is inhaling oxygen or taking oxygen, and exhaling or get rid of carbon dioxide. And oxygen is a gas which is found in the air. Carbon dioxide is also a gas which is found in the air too. Now let's start the organs of respiratory system. Let's start by the first organ of respiratory system, which is nose. We can breathe or can take oxygen from the air by nose. So nose helps us to take oxygen from the air. The filter in our home can clean the water. So nose acts like the filter, but can clean the air. So nose can clean the air. So nose acts like a filter. A filter can do what? Can clean the air. Nose not only cleans the air, but it can also make the air wet and warm. So it can wet the air and warm it. Wet the air means has water. So the first organ of respiratory system which can take the oxygen from the air is nose. And the nose acts like a filter which can clean the air, can make the air wet and can warm it. Then the air which has oxygen passes from nose to pharynx. So, which organ in respiratory system take the oxygen from nose? Pharynx. Pharynx can take the oxygen from nose. So, pharynx is like a tube which can take the air which has oxygen from nose. Then after pharynx we has organ which is called larynx. So larynx is called voice box. Voice box. Again after pharynx we have an organ which is called larynx. So larynx is an organ in respiratory system which can take the oxygen from pharynx. And the larynx is called voice box. So, which organ in respiratory system called voice box? Larynx is called voice box. Which organ takes the oxygen from the air? Nose. Nose is the organ of respiratory system that can take the oxygen from the air. Which organ in respiratory system can take the oxygen from the nose? Pharynx is the organ of respiratory system which can take the oxygen from nose. Now let's talk about trachea. Trachea is like a tube. So trachea is like a tube. And the trachea is a strong tube, very strong tube. Trachea can make two branches inside the two lungs. So again, trachea is a strong tube which can make two branches, and the two branches enter the two lungs. Each branch of them is a strong tube too, and each branch is called bronchi. So each strong tube is called bronchi. Again, trachea is a strong tube which can make two branches inside the two lungs, and each branch is a strong tube. Each branch is called bronchi. Bronchi. So each strong tube is called what? Bronchi. Each bronchi enter each lung. Now let's talk about the two lungs. Under the two lungs we have a muscle which is called diaphragm. So try with me. During inhalation, during taking oxygen, the muscle which is called diaphragm moves up and the size of the chest increases. Why? Because the two lungs can fill with the air, can fill with the oxygen, but during exhalation the muscle which is called diaphragm moves down. So the two lungs decrease in the size, and the chest size decreases also. So during inhalation diaphragm moves up, the two lungs become bigger, the size of the chest increases. During exhalation diaphragm moves down, the size of the chest decreases